Hello and once more, welcome back to the Dota 2 Champions League Season 5 LAN Finals. We are about to head into the winner bracket final. It will be played between VG Gaming and Empire. So that's going to be probably one of the games which people would expect to see in the finals. We might see it again in the finals as we do play in a double elimination bracket. However, it is what we're going to see now. So both of those teams have been playing very dominant in the previous games they had. How do you think this game is going to pan out? Do you feel that one of those teams can pull equal dominant performance going 2-0, or do you think this is going to be a lot closer?
I think VG in their second game against NIP, they've definitely shown that they're human, they can make mistakes. They did slip up here and there. Empire maybe look to exploit those and, could take a map, maybe take the series off VG, but you've got to say VG are definitely still the favorites to win this best of 3.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think the expected result would be a 2-0. I wouldn't be surprised if Empire managed to pull out a 2-1. Or, I mean, I think it's a long shot, but maybe they could even win the series just based off of, new patch and, basically pulling out something that VG Gaming doesn't expect. But I think through and through, VG Gaming are definitely still the favorites.
Yeah, I think if I had to call this, I'd say 2-0 VG, but I think the game will be a lot closer than the other ones. I thought NIP definitely showed that there is a way to beat VG. VG aren't inhuman, I don't think they've lost the game on this patch so far, if I remember correctly, but
I have not.
I think that it's a matter of time, obviously, right? They can't just go 100-0 or something like that.
You say that.
Yeah, but
we'll see. We'll get back to that in about
some crazy streak, but I think that if any team can do it here, especially, it's going to be Empire. If anybody's going to give them a run for their money, I don't know if they'll lose this series, but maybe in the next one.
Do you feel like any of the two teams has to play, or rather, let's put it that way, do you feel like Empire would have to play out of their comfort zone to turn the games around, or do you feel that they can go with what they're comfortable with and that will be enough to contest against what VG is doing?
I think Empire's comfortable playstyle is something that usually sets other teams out of their comfort zone. Yeah. I think is the actually best way to put it. So I don't think that Empire need to play something that I don't think they need to stretch too far. I think just naturally speaking that their play style is aggressive enough and unique enough, whether it's through play style but also hero choices, that I think can set some teams off. And I think that's why we pretty much all agree that Empire has the best shot of being able to take a game or even a series off of VG.
Yeah, I think something that I mentioned about VG when, focus on killing off Hal or Super or Ice as you kill off one of them, there's always someone as a backup. There's always that other sort of carry player. With Empire, it's a lot more defined, and the stats that have been put together to us by Knoxville and Scan definitely shows that. They basically have two one-role players, Resolution and Silent. Both share 27% of the farm in any given game, so they definitely do spread it quite nicely there. It does limit sometimes the farm of a low high dance always want to fly. It's going to be down to, I think, how aggressive VG can play into Ancients and Jungle especially and stop their stacking, because we always see Empire, their comfort zone is aggression. They get up in people's faces, they dominate lanes, but then they like to fall back when they're not as powerful. They like to farm jungles efficiently and get a nice spike of gold, so then they can start building up momentum again.
Yeah, I think the key also for Empire to win this game is they have to somehow slow down the combination of FY and Fenrir. It seems like every single game those two get off to a hard start. I think it was the Enchantress last game that had a Hex and an Aghanims, and
a Shivas.
Yeah, exactly. You just saw Arrow wasn't able to get in close at all as a result because the new Enchantress absolutely rips apart BKB carries, and so they can't let FY or Fenrir get that much amount of farm. Both of them got farm, actually. The Lion had a Blink Dagger. He pretty much had everything he needed. And I think that's kind of the combination that makes VG tick more than anything, is that their support combo just seems so dominant.
I mean, it's clear to see what makes them dominant and what makes them win the game. Now, I think we already asked Durka as well as Cap what they think is the weakness, if there is any. Is there an Achilles heel? What do you think?
For which team? VG?
Yeah.
I think for VG, sometimes they play a little bit over-aggressive in their lanes, and you can exploit that. I think that the strength of them, though, is they have really solid picks. I think Hani exemplified this best when he kept saying VG always have some sort of backup plan. But if you can kind of force them into that backup plan in the first place, I think it's the best kind of goal. Get them out of their comfort zone, try to win the lanes as hard as you possibly can, and never let FY and Fenrir get into that rhythm where they just farm out the entire map.
All right. So the game will be about ready anytime soon. So we're going to head into the picks and bans once more. And for that, I'm going to hand over to our lovely casters.
That's right. It's going to be a Capitalist and Blitz duo for this one. Blitz, we've had a lot of talk now about basically Vici Gaming being the dominant team, that Team Empire, they need to be able to provide some sort of upset if they want the easy ticket into the finals. It seems like we pretty much all agree that Empire have the best shot at it, and a lot of it's going to play into their aggression. But I actually want to talk about what you just said, right? That being able to force them into the backup plan, right? And I think that's something that's very key about Vici Gaming's style, is that while, like, you always have Super consistently performing in that middle lane, and then you have these two supports that are able to go around, and then they always have, like, either Ice 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 or How able to get a lot of farm because of all the space created by those three heroes, so that they always have some sort of strong mid game. Now, Empire, do you think it's a good idea to run an aggressive tri-lane up against Vici Gaming? Do you think that's one way to be able to stimulate some sort of failed response from Vici Gaming, to make them make mistakes?
Possibly. I guess it's been a while since I've seen Vici's tri-lane actually pressured for quite some time, but I think that when you have a support tandem that's been playing as long as FI and Fenrir have, it's hard to contest a straight 3v3 because those guys always know what to do. True. And they know how to play around How especially. I think the correct response is try to win the mid lane as much as you can and just pressure Ice 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 from the beginning. Because I think the one thing that you can knock on is that I think Ice 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 tries to win his lane too hard sometimes. Like, he gets away with it a lot just because he's probably, I mean, arguably the second best or best offlaner, right? Like, I think it's close between him and Universe. But the style that he does is he really tries to win his lane, or at least pressure as hard as he can, and I think you have to not let him do that.
All right, so we're going to see our first couple of bans out here. It's going to be the Undying Wisp banned away by Team Empire. Vici Gaming actually going to take away the Queen of Pain. Of course, none of these are really that big of a surprise. The Queen of Pain and Undying especially being two of the most dominant heroes, I would say, in the current meta. And then the SF is actually going to be banned away by Vici. That has been one of the go-to heroes for Team Empire, so it looks like Vici Gaming definitely know what is kind of the best matchup. Team Empire versus Vici Gaming is probably the strongest opponent they're going to face, and it seems like they've done their homework, taking away the SF. But it's going to be a gyrocopter picked up by Team Empire. Now this is Silence Hero, right? This is what he used to always play as kind of the carry for Team Empire.
Yeah, and it's actually just gotten buffed with the Rocket Barrage change. It's so much easier to pressure the lanes. Fighting at level 1 as well is so strong because you can just justify going for the Rocket Barrage every single time for the first level. But on top of that, the hero, the item progression kind of works out a little bit better. Like, I like what Silent did in his previous game when he played it. He went the SNY, he went the BKB, he went super stats heavy, and I think that is kind of the best way to go about it.
All right, we'll see what Vici Gaming. They're actually dipping into reserve time here for the first 1-2 pickup, not really knowing what to do to this gyrocopter. Now, analyzing just gyrocopter as a carry, right? He is a very mid-game dominant carry that can be a pretty strong late-game force, but he actually has to be pretty far ahead in net worth. And I would say he's also a nice pushing hero, even though he doesn't actually provide any necessary push and like strong pushing abilities himself. Just his natural team fight capabilities in the mid game give you a lot of control. So what do you think the weaknesses are of a gyrocopter, especially since he's picked up so early in the draft?
I think that is the one thing that kind of sucks about him is fighting around him early. Like we saw the first game, he just immediately goes down really quickly. Like, it was way too difficult for him to fight early on. Like, he tried there was a time where Silent TP'd mid, and he thought he could, like, 1v5, and all of a sudden, things got turned around on him, and he went down super quickly. Like, his HP isn't that great. His damage without the Rocket Barrage, if he doesn't isolate a hero, it's not that fantastic. Like, this guy is a little bit item dependent, I feel.
All right, this is going to be interesting. We've got a Lion and Tusk. Now, Tusk has been traditionally seen as kind of a 4-position, a very aggressive style, especially from the CIS region. We see it quite a bit. The 4-position Tuskar, Moscow 5, Vega, Empire, they've all run this same exact hero, but Vici Gaming have actually tried something a little bit more interesting with it. They put it as an off lane in the hands of Ice, Ice, Ice. Blitz, why do you think that is? What are some of the strengths of Tusk as either an offlaner or a support?
I think as a support, you get a free initiation with a good way to lock down and have burst damage with the Walrus Punch. I think that is the Frozen Sigil as well is really underrated. Like, in team fights, you don't really notice it until you're playing against it, and you realize how slowly you attack in the early game. It actually really helps with Roshan as well because it affects it, right? If I'm not mistaken, it used to the last time I saw it, so I'd imagine it's still the same. So the combination of those two things, I think, really helps. And you can just use the ice shards to defensively farm in the off lane. I think, though, the main reason Vici like to run it for ice, ice, ice rather than a support is oftentimes this hero kind of is a bit lackluster with farm and without farm. Like, it doesn't really fit a good space in those two regards, so I don't think they like giving it to FY or Fenrir, who I think just play greedier supports in general.
Sure. I like one of the things you said, like the single target lockdown of the Walrus Punch, I think is particularly strong versus Gyrocopter here because he's one of those heroes that's pretty dependent on the BKB. So being able to get that kind of one disable that goes through BKB and then a solid, decent amount of burst damage. We'll see how farm whoever picks up the Tusk is actually able to play it, but a decent amount of nuke damage that goes through that BKB as well. Beastmaster is going to be picked up, though, by Team Empire. Now, this hero's been seeing a lot of buffs. The most recent one allowing you to be able to summon 2 different boars in the laning phase, which I think just increases the off-lane potential for Beastmaster, as he's able to get 2 boars out right away. No supports can really deal with that amount of aggression out from units that they don't particularly want to fight.
Yeah, and Neutral Micro is really good, too, if you play it in the off-lane. You can send 1 boar to the ancient stack, and then you can use the other one to scout out the pulls and stuff like that.
Right.
And the hero, I think, is just so strong around the Roshan area as well, because most of the time, teams' responses is like you pick a Clockwork, you throw the rocket every 10 seconds. That's what Sakshka did, right, in his game against Empire. But you can only keep that up for so much.
Yeah.
But with the Beastmaster, past the 10-minute mark, you don't always want to have a hero, one ability devoted to it, but the Hawk is just so easy to use.
Well, this is going to be interesting. Team Empire, a quick response to that Storm Spirit. Oh, man, back and forth now. Storm Spirit picked up by Vici Gaming. Team Empire, realizing that this is going to be a possibility, already had their idea in mind, which was the Disruptor, solid counter to the Storm Spirit until he has BKB, which is typically not the first item for a Storm Spirit because it just kills his stats if he goes BKB first. You're a very, very solid counter to the Storm Spirit, so you're looking at a hero that pretty much instantly locked down the Storm in some way for up to 30-35 minutes, depending on how well the Storm does. But Vici Gaming, they want to focus on their own synergy here, the Lifestealer combined with 3 different jumping heroes. And I'm saying 3 because obviously Storm Spirit, Tusk with the Snowball, but I'm going to include Lion in there as well. As you said, greedy supports, usually able to pick up a lot of farm. Lion by far is one of the supports that is able to do the most with a significant amount of farm. So an relatively early Blink Dagger for support Lion is kind of expected.
Yeah, and he's going to need it because I think Disruptor is one of the better heroes to initiate on both Storm Spirit and Lifestealer. As somebody who really likes playing both those heroes, there's nothing more knowing where you get static stormed, you can't do anything except walk away from it. But if you get roared or you get caught by the field and glimpsed, then it's impossible. Like, you can't really do much. And like you said, you highlighted an issue is that Storm Spirits, you don't want to go BKB first. Like, the item's effectiveness really starts to go down because if you get it as your first item, then by the time 15 minutes rolls around, you've got 5-second BKB charges, and it's absolutely worthless. But I think this might be a Storm game where you go Bloodstone and just try to split out the map and look for initiations onto the Disruptor using the Lifestealer. I think that'd be kind of the best way to do it. And then hope that the Tuskar can save you if you get roared or something like that.
Right. I'm feeling like this is very defensive supports picked up by Team Empire. The Disruptor doesn't provide you a whole lot of laning presence if there's anything that's up in your face, right? He can do a little bit of harassment with Thunderstrike, and that's nice at level 1, but when it comes down to it, you simply are not a strong hero until you get that Static Storm available. So I feel like there's a significant opening to put pressure on a Disruptor lane early on. Then you combine the Shadow Demon, another, I would say, very defensive support in nature, very dependent on his allies. He's trying to set up everyone else, doesn't do a whole lot on his own. So this means that Team Empire are both like very defensive, and it also means that they don't have a whole lot of ganking power between these two supports, which means probably going to see a lot of static laning phase for Team Empire. I mean, we have an off-laner in Beastmaster who doesn't move around typically a whole lot, maybe once when he has level 6, but that's about it. Gyrocopter kind of going to be AFK, wanting to farm up his stat items. We don't know what that mid is just yet, but it feels like Team Empire are actually not going to play a whole lot of aggression, at least in the first 15 minutes.
Yeah, the Shadow Demon I think is also a response to that style where if the Storm Spirit rolls in and it's not on the Shadow Demon, then he'll just disrupt to save whoever. If it is on the Shadow Demon, then the Disruptor gets good opportunities to get his ultimate off. And I think the Shadow Demon is also a response to the Lifestealer. You don't want to roar a Lifestealer. Like, it just doesn't do anything, it's not damage, but you can just purge him and kite around him. Like, that's one of the better things to do. And so I think it's a good pickup overall. Like, Shadow Demon isn't my favorite support hero, and I know Purge is going to, like, hate me for that, but it's one of those heroes that you kind of have to have a strategy built around it, and it feels like Empire kind of picking to counter what Vici have. They're like, okay, we see the Storm Spirit, then we'll get the Disruptor.
Yep.
Then you pick up the Lifestealer, well, we'll take the Shadow Demon.
Team Empire, it feels like they are definitely drafting heavily to counter their opponents, rather than looking within the synergy of their own lineup. Not saying that they lack synergy entirely, but it just feels like they're more focused on countering Vici Gaming hero. While Vici, I feel, is like the exact opposite, right? They pick a Lifestealer into the Disruptor simply because the Lifestealer is so good with the previous 3 heroes. Now they're going to get the Enigma, so this does, or at least should, lock down the Tusk as an offlaner and a 4-position Enigma. There's still a chance that we can run a 4-position Tusk and an offlane Enigma, but it seems much less likely.
Yeah, the one thing I'm a little bit afraid of for Vici, though, is that their lanes don't really pressure very well. Like an Enigma in the jungle, yeah, he can gank pre-6, but it's really unlikely, and you don't want to do that because it slows down his farm so much. And the potential farm that you lose if the gank doesn't get executed well is terrible. On top of that, Lifestealer is one of the worst heroes as a carry, I feel, at really keeping up with pressure, just because you don't want to spend time getting off any hits. You don't really have a stable nuke, and Lion is one of those heroes as well that at level 1, yeah, you've got Hex, and that helps, but you don't really have a lot of burst damage, and your stun's not going to do too much. So I feel like Empire's offlaner should get a reasonable amount. It's just that Enigma has to get a lot to counterbalance that.
Right. The Lion, I think, is going to have to play very well in this lane. Like, potentially, simply because of the laning phase presence of the Lifestealer, he's probably one of the carries that gives you a lot more kill potential. They might be able to kill. Ooh, okay, change up here. Axe is now going to be picked up by Team Empire. They're going to have Resolution playing the Beastmaster. This is more lockdown versus the Lifestealer. Another solid disable that goes through that magic immunity. More lockdown versus the Storm Spirit is always welcome as well. And it's an aggressive hero that works to Team Empire's style.
Yeah, it works well against Storm Spirit especially. Like, I really hate playing against this hero in general when you're playing Storm Spirit. And then on top of that, I think you needed an offlaner, not like Resolution playing the Beastmaster. Like, you need something that will actively affect the offlane. Like, a Beastmaster kind of gets zoned out because he has no good way to trade with the Lion. But for example, an Axe can trade with the Lion. Like, he does an okay job of getting into right-click fights. You can always spin, and if the Lifestealer comes over, the Axe should have ample time to get out.
All right, so as the rest of the players pick up their heroes, we're going to get into our first game here of Vici Gaming versus Team Empire. And this best of 3 is the upper bracket finals. The winner of this will go into the best of 5 grand finals with a 1-game advantage. So starting things off, we do have Ice, who's going to be playing that off-lane Tusk. That being said, you never know, Vici Gaming could run something aggressive. They got Hal playing the Lifestealer. Middle lane, of course, is going to be Super playing the Storm Spirit. Fenrir is going to be playing the Lion, the legendary player himself. Probably one of the best Lions out there. You got FY then on the Enigma. Now, Team Empire actually running a very early amount of aggression here with a 5-man smoke, but they're simply just going to be able to find this early ward placed out by FY. And is that counter ward on the Magic Bush? It looks like a little far up.
Yeah, and they're just trying to get this counter ward off. It's a good idea as well to do this. If you're playing against an Enigma player, you don't want him to just get absolute free farm, and I think this is a good way as well to be able to pressure his jungle. But yeah, a good move by them. There's no downside to it, right? Like, if you get a ward off, the smoke immediately pays for itself.
Yep. And if you are able to potentially find a gank, obviously it pays for itself so much more. Literally, the only downside is if you're a team that's heavily dependent on early smokes, and I would say they certainly are not. You know, you're going to see maybe some smokes going into the mid game, but as far as like a lot of early smokes, they don't have the supports to be able to use that too much. So that's pretty much the only potential downside.
If I were Empire, actually, I think I would aggressive tri-lane this. Like, ward up the Enigma's jungle, go to aggressive tri-lane, and put the Axe in a one-on-one position against a hero like a Tuskar, right? Like, an Axe would absolutely destroy a Tuskar. And I think Vici actually are... maybe they won't anticipate it, and they'll just I think Hao's just up here to secure the rune.
Yeah.
For
If they
super.
feel like an aggro tri-lane is going on, Vici Gaming, their best bet is probably to dodge.
Yeah, but it looks like they won't do that. But I feel like there was some merits to it because it is a lifestealer and a lion, right? And if you ward out the jungle for the pull, then it really puts a lot of pressure on them to be able to do anything. And you've already warded up the Enigma's jungle, so I feel like it was an option, but it actually looks like they're not going to go with that direction.
All right, Blitz. So this, you are a Storm Spirit Fiend.
Yes, that's me.
How's this matchup go? Storm Spirit versus Beastmaster. No obvious advantage one way or another. They both got the bounty runes, so nothing special. How does this standard matchup go? Who's favored?
I think Storm is heavily favored against most melee heroes just because of the fact that it's so hard for them to harass you, but in middle, like this is what they need to do to super, I feel like, in the very beginning, and this is a lot of damage.
Yeah, this definitely puts a lot of pressure on him. Now, he did bring out the early set of tangos, which is fairly common. You get the bounty rune, you buy an extra set of tangos right away. Feels like Super was kind of aware that he was going to feel some early pressure and is able to make that recovery thanks to the tangos, but still keeps some pressure on him and doesn't allow the Storm Spirit to bully the Beastmaster out of lane. Meanwhile, the other lane I think to definitely watch is going to be this Axe one at the bottom lane, the 1 versus 2 scenario. He's fighting up against both the Lion and the Lifestealer. I would say one of the more favorable 1 versus 2s out there.
Yeah, I mean, look at Fenrir right now. He's trying to get the right click on. Oh,
can they get the block here? Yoki, yeah, they're going to be able to get the call right away, but it looks like Fenrir is also blocked out. He gets a little bit of room to move, but still the right clicks are there, and first blood going to Yoki. What a great start for this offlaner, who's now already going to have boots and potentially tranquils before the line is back in lane.
Yeah, and I think this is what you have to do. He's pressuring multiple lanes. They're trying to win the mid lane as well by... That's what Always Wanna Fly's move was, right? He comes mid, just tries to give the Beastmaster a decent start. And then he heads bottom because a Lifestealer and a Lion can't really zone out this Axe. Because Hao actually had the same thought I did. Remember, he was at the top lane thinking, oh, they're going to aggressive tri-lane and they're going to let Yoki one-on-one. Let's try to dodge this. But Empire's lanes just feel a little bit stronger here as a result.
You know, I said he was a very defensive support, but man, Always Wanna Fly is already pulling out some moves here with the early pressure on the Storm Spirit, giving the Beastmaster some room, and obviously the first blood is huge for Yoki. As you can see, he already has the Boots of Speed and the Ring of Regen, which is going to make so much space for Yoki. He's now 1v1ing up Hao, forcing him to get away from these creeps. And Enigma is obviously not a good ganker versus the Axe, right? You're just giving him more spins if you're bringing Eidolons along.
Yeah, the first few levels, and this is the weakness of it, is because they warded out his entire jungle. Like, look at the spots of red. He doesn't really have much to farm. And look, he just hit level 2 right now. And this is like the timing normally to hit like level 4. But he's just at level 2 as a result. And you don't want to pressure it. Like, if he comes to gank at level 3 and it fails, then his game, it feels ruined at that point. Because it's going to take him so long to get online. So what he has to do is static farm and just hope that he can catch up as a result.
Yeah, because it's dual lanes at the top lane and it's not even aggro. Oh man, they pick up the kill on Hao. Yoki, Always Wanna Fly, getting a little bit more aggressive than I expected. Yoki still just running forward. He doesn't even care. He knows he's going to be fine. And he now has 700 gold. He can actually pop his health potion, potentially get the tranks. Top lane, they're going to get Ice here. Now he does have Snowball to be able to run right through, and he will manage to live just by a little bit. Bottom lane, Always Wanna Fly, gets low. Hao manages to pick up that kill, so this time the over-aggression from Team Empire goes a bit sour, unable to get the return kill on Fenrir.
Yeah, but at the same time, did you see at bottom how they set that up? They just disrupt on Hao. Yoki walks into the middle of a creep wave with the curse on, and there's no way that he's going to survive there. And just putting this amount of pressure on Hao in the first place, it's not often, like you said, it's not often that Hao sees this amount of pressure. But if you're going to take something greedy like in a jungle Enigma, this dual lane definitely pays off every single time for Empire. And I think they're going about this the right way, is that they're heavily pressuring Hao. They pressured this middle lane, and Ice doesn't have a favorable matchup at top.
Yeah, and there's not even space for the Enigma to potentially go into the enemy jungle, because then he would be constantly interrupted by the Disruptor and the potential rotation back from Beastmaster or the Gyrocopter. So there isn't a whole lot of space for him to work. Normally, when your jungle is warded so heavily and you're feeling aggression in lane, you can usually rotate to the enemy jungle, but not even that is an option.
Yeah, Always Wanna Fly has gone ham this game. He even picked up the Invis rune right now. He's going to harass the Enigma in the jungle. And this is just difficult for them to deal with right now because they're probably not used to this level of aggression on the other side. And the Storm is doing fine, though, against a Beastmaster.
Oh, Silent, he's actually called out here. He's going to be able to get the Snowball, couple right clicks from the tower, potion up, and will just... No, the last shot from the tower gets the kill. Somehow Ice manages to make the turnaround. Still waiting for the potential. Oh man, double hawk kill. That was such a nice remnant from Super. Good awareness by him. Now, Always Wanna Fly is going to reveal himself for a second. Storm Spirit is level 6, though. Resolution not having that ultimate to lock down Super means there's no way for them to be able to actually successfully gank him up.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about with Ice Ice Ice, is that he plays so aggressively, even in a scenario where he should be at a disadvantage. Like, he just plays up, and he's able to get a kill there. Like, how many offlaners do you know that are going to take advantage like that, especially on a player like Silent? And it's kind of like the boomer bust style, but more often than not for Ice Ice Ice, because he's so individually talented, it works out for him.
Disruption, Yoki is going to be able to get the call. Well, actually stunned up first, and Hal will get the distance away from Yoki to make sure, not in range. Battle Hunger is going to go out. Yoki is actually having his mana drained out. They turn open wounds, but it's going to be enough damage with the extra damage out from Soul Catcher. Fenrir comes in. They do have the Storm Spirit TPing in, trying to get help the kill. Onto Yoki. Yoki's just trying to chase down Fenrir, won't be able to close that gap, and will now just kind of be locked into corner where he will end up going down eventually here. Is he going to be able to get the call on F? Oh, he gets it! Oh my god! Provides the upset. The juke through the jungle gives him the space to surprise FY. Meanwhile, they also manage to get the Disruptor a kill onto Ice 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 there in that top lane while we're following the bottom action.
And that's so huge. Just the fact that Super rotates, he doesn't even get the last hit on the kill. And Yoki manages to get a kill in front of his face. Like, Yoki actually almost just turned that around and killed the Lion and the Enigma. Like, that's insane. And right now, it just feels like both offlaners are having so much impact because they've been given relatively favorable lanes. But as I said that, of course, Ice 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 dies at top. And so a good rebuttal kill by Empire right now, who are really taking it right now to beat you.
Ice, another block out on Silent, but he does not want to be in melee range too often with the Gyrocopter, unless it's for a quick kill that maxed out Rocket Barrage. Is just too much damage up close. So another reason why this matchup for Tusk, like Tusk is already kind of questionable how much is he really going to be able to do as an offlaner here. But it's even worse when he's a melee hero facing up against a Gyrocopter with that maxed out barrage.
Yeah, he's actually doing okay though. Like in terms of CS, he's got 14, he's killed the safe lane carry. He's not doing bad. The problem is if you compare his farm to Yoki's, it's insane. Like Yoki's got 34 CS with 3 kills. One at bottom.
Yeah, the Resolution's already making the rotation over. He gets the quick hex out, but he's still probably going to be going down. Yoki's actually going to try and get the additional kill by catching Hao at the same time. The Axes managed to pick up the kill on the Lion, but can they get Hao as well? The spins go out, and they manage to chop off his head. Another one going down, but Ice 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 at the same time. He managed to get a kill on the Disruptor at the top lane. Every single time, Ice is either dying or getting kills while action is happening at bottom.
Yeah, I don't even understand how he gets that kill. Like, I was focused on bottom thinking, oh, there's no way he's in a 2-on-1 scenario against a Disruptor.
Yep.
And he just keeps doing it is the insane part. Like, he just keeps getting kills. And I guess we just have to keep watching that area because this is typically not something you'd see. And at top, there's such a heavy commitment and the TP's coming as well.
Yeah, Silent pops the Rocket Barrage right before the Snowball hits him. Almost does enough damage to finish off Ice Ice Ice. The Rocket Oh, nice. Flat Cannon is able to finish him off. Now can he actually get ahead? He's got Face Boots, Magic Wand. He's trying to get ahead of Hal, but Super's coming in from the side. Sorry, Silent. You're not getting away from that one.
Yeah, and a good move to get the kill, but at the same time, you're dying again for the offlaner, and that's space if you're Ice Ice Ice. The problem, though, is, again, it's the fact that Yoki is doing so much better than you. Like, Yoki's had an unreal game. He's 4-1-1, and it's not just him, right? Always Wanna Fly's rotations around the map.
The lockdown Super. He's going to end up falling in the middle lane. Good pick off there. The glimpse into the Beastmaster ultimate. And that now gets Aloha Dance to his level 6. The Static Storm, as we said, is going to be so key for keeping the lockdown on Storm Spirit. Yoki is going to try and chase down FY. Of course, the Eidolon's not going to be too effective. Yoki gets close enough. They do try to get the block up, but what a Static Storm out from Aloha Dance. Going to be able to ensure the kill on FY, and potentially Ice 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 running back to that Tier 2 tower, but will be able to survive for the time being. Empire making some heavy commitment past that Tier 1, but simply put, VG Gaming can't punish them.
Ice 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 is actually really slowed, but Resolution doesn't seem like he wants to go for this, and on the backside.
Yeah, he's trying to get onto Resolution right now. The Snowball is going to come in. The Disruption will help out, but as he comes back out, the Static Remnant should be enough damage, and Empire don't really have a response as they're in the river. They realize that they're too far forward. Oh, they actually get the right click, picking off the Shadow Demon. Now Yoki is blocked away. What a beautiful setup from Ice Ice Ice, and sure enough, it took a little while, but finally VG Gaming do manage to punish Empire for being so aggressive and diving deep past that Tier 1 tower.
Yeah, that was just a little bit too aggressive by Empire. They didn't have the best way to initiate that fight either. I think after they got the kill in the jungle, they #1 should have just been get out as safely as we can as a group, but it was just a little bit too difficult considering the position they were in. The good news for Empire, though, is because they've pressured so much, FY actually has nothing. Like, how many games has it been since you've seen an Enigma this poor and this under-leveled in a game, right?
Yeah.
Like, he just hit level 6. That's a 4-minute level 6 typically if you don't get your jungle harassed at all.
This is just dirty. This is dirty right here, Blitz. They've got FY and How. If Silent happened to be in range, they just snowball in and easily kill him. But with this smoke, oh no. The smoke actually popped, and How, they're not going to be able to find that kill. Silent, who's got, well, he's actually, I was going to say top net worth, but look at that. Despite the fact that they had those deaths in middle lane, Silent is just evened up with both the Axe and the Beastmaster. Things looking good for Empire. Silent still getting caught here. The black hole, he's going to hold him in now. How trying to get on the other side, but a beautiful disruption will save him from the right clicks as well as that snowball that was coming in. Silent drops the ultimate, trying to slow down How as much as possible. Will be able to keep one step ahead of him. The damage is not quite enough. He will live, and now How may actually die. Always Want to Fly gets another poison, but it's not going to be enough. Ice actually dropping low. Another poison put on him. Always Want to Fly. Can he land that extra one? He throws it out. It lands. Ice, he's going to die. Nicely played by Always Want to Fly. But How? He wants some vengeance. He's going to be able to get on top of that support. Right click, gets the kill. Can he get out, though? The Soul Catcher is on him. It's not enough damage. He will get away. Empire not rotating fast enough to get a turnaround kill because, as always, there was action elsewhere. They had the Lion going down inside the enemy jungle.
Yeah, and he definitely didn't think that anybody would be down there just because of the heavy rotations at the top, and he felt like that was going to split the map up. And it doesn't even feel like either of these teams are playing sloppy cap. It feels like they're both playing this controlled aggression, and they just really know what to do. And that rotation at top by Always Want to Fly to save Silent, I mean...
Oh, Resolution. You're playing a very dangerous game here, my friend. He's trying to get to
All
FY,
right.
but he knows. He's like, oh, this was the wrong play. The best he can hope for is getting a kill on FY, and he does get it. The axes go out. Not really worth it. Maybe it is. As How slowed down, he's already popped the Rage, and Silent's right on top of him with the Rocket Barrage. But here comes the rebuttal. VG Gaming going to be able to just steamroll through that one. Silent. VG Gaming are realizing, I think they're adapting pretty well, right? They go, hey, Empire, they're diving past towers a lot. They're bringing a lot of heroes into the fold to go for these kills. Let's group up a little bit. And, you know, a hell of a response there in the top lane. Still a fine trade-off, though, I would say, for Empire. 2 for 2.
Yeah, the problem right now is that Empire are farming a little bit more with stability. Like, there was no reason for Resolution to really have to do that, but still, at worst, it's a 2 for 2 trade, and the normal aggressive maneuvers that you see by Vici that usually just kind of run over teams is be counteracted by the fact that Empire is constantly on top of their toes. They're the ones trying to make things happen for better or worse, and it's really paying off for them, I feel. Like, they're just getting pressure on the map. Again, FY, still only level 7 at 12 minutes in. Like, they've just done such a good job of pressuring him especially.
Tier 1 tower going to be falling soon. In fact, they're going to go for the deny here. The Boar, he'll see what's happening, but he's not going to be able to get the kill. Good attempts, but the deny still goes out from How.
Yeah, and at this bottom lane, Yoki just continues to farm. He's got a Vanguard fully completed, almost a Blink Dagger as well. And once that comes online, I just feel like initiations are going to become so much easier for them, and it's going to be hard for Vici to be able to do anything. The combination of the Disruptor with the Axe as well is just insane. Like, you can't really help out whoever gets caught in the call.
They're going to go for How here. Whoa. Disruption. Instead, they get the Purge, holding How in. The Rage is going to run out soon, and with that ultimate being dropped by the Gyrocopter, they'll get him low, but can't slow him down enough. FY at the same time is on the front fold. They do have the Snowball in onto Aloha Dance. Ooh, good disruption out from Always Want to Fly. Can they get off the Static Storm? Nicely placed. Fenrir on top of that with the impales, but Yoki comes in from the side, able to get the chop, and will take out How, trying to go for a third one, and Super, low on mana, is not escaping. Gyrocopter is actually the one who picks up that kill. Good to spread around the kill gold either way, but still dominant showing out from Empire, losing
and
two supports.
He's hit by the Boar. He's actually going for the move.
Yeah, he tries to make the play out, Snowball through to Resolution. He's still thrown down by the Battle Hunger. Yoki, though, without that Blink Dagger, is not going to be able to catch up. They do get the hold on Resolution. Actually, he's just going to have to TP out. Ice is on the mark with these Ice Shards.
Yeah, that was actually sick. He was slowed by the Boar. If he had the call hit on him, he would have 100% died, but he makes the play there to get the Snowball off onto the Beastmaster across the pathway, and he just kind of holds that by himself. So good play by him to continue stabilizing things a little bit for Vici, but again, Vici, they're getting overrun, and this Storm Spirit isn't able to get any farm. And Cap, from personal experience, you need to snowball with this hero. Like, you need to, especially if you're going to go for this Orchid build, things have to go well for you early on. And at top, Aloha Dance,
Oh no, chased away by How with Super joining him. They'll get the kill, plus they'll transition that into a free tier 1 tower. Not too bad, but it's still not enough to make a recovery. As you can see, the net worth-wise still heavily favoring Empire. Now Yoki's going to be able to get the jump on FY with some of the Eidolons caught in that one as well. Spin, spin. Does he get the chop? He needs a little bit more. Trying to go for it now, but now is hexed up and unfortunately will not be able to get there in time. Now he can get some farm out of this one. He is going to be kited quite heavily. The block out, another great ice shards from Ice. Stuns up Yoki. Disruption will buy time, perhaps, for Yoki to be able to blink away. Sure enough, gets out of that danger zone. But farther over, middle lane, lockdown on Super with the jump. Silent. The ultimate is enough to get that additional kill. So even if they don't get the Enigma, Yoki just couldn't get enough spins there. They do find another core pickoff on Vici Gaming.
Yeah, that was insane considering how many things were hitting him at once. You would figure, you know, can a guy buy just like 2 spins, but unable to do so. And still, Empire continuing to get aggressive on the map. Like, the fact that he wasn't punished for that speaks volumes about this game. Because normally, you would see Vici gather as like 4, punish him immediately. But Yoki kind of just like, with impunity, walks in, does whatever he wants in their jungle. And they go for a target that they didn't even originally plan for. And it's an even better one. Like, the fact that Super goes down there, they're even happier about that.
Yep. Absolutely. A support. Missing out of the support kill, but instead getting the core. Empire going to be very happy with that, as well as the Aegis that they're about to pick up. Silent grabs that. Now, I do also want to note this has been very common SNY pickup on Gyrocopter. Ever since the SNY got really popular, the Gyrocopter came back into the fold, and despite the fact that it was not used to be a typical pickup for Gyro, SNY is the build that everyone's going for nowadays. Why do you think that is, Blitz?
I think that the game is stats heavy in general. Before, you used to go something like Drums, when Drums was the pickup on pretty much everybody, right? Like, you could justify it on supports. But as the game progresses, the move speed, the damage, the build up especially for SNY just helps so much. And it gives you so much HP. And on a hero like Gyro, where you rely so much on your Rocket Barrage, it's a positioning related skill, right? So I think that it just kind of helps out a little more than Drums does overall, with the Mame especially as well against a hero like Lifestealer, right? Like, that's going to absolutely ruin his life. And so I think with the lack of Drums and the more that we see this item.
Oh, Ice. Going to be caught by the glimpse into the Static Storm. Free pick off there. Vici Gaming. All Ice wanted to do was just slow down this push at the tier 2 to create space for his allies. Unfortunately, in the process, he does die.
Yeah. And Vici are going for the fallback. If you're losing team fights, don't get into team fights.
Yep.
Just kind of split up the map. Avoid taking fights as you can, but at the same time, what's to stop Empire from continuing to go in? Like, they've got a Necrobook 3, but it looks like they do want to at least defend this mid-tier 2.
Yeah, middle tier 2, pretty important. A little bit too much free gold to offer up to Vici Gaming, especially such a strong team that knows how to adapt to many playstyles. You can't be so assured that if you try and push uphill that you're going to win that fight. So if you lose that fight and give up the tier 1 and potentially tier 2 at the top lane just due to creep wave pushes or what have you, you're going to be giving up pretty much the whole advantage that you have gained for yourself. Speaking of that advantage, 18 minutes in, we have about an 8,000 gold lead for Team Empire right now, and looking even better in experience. But rotation out from Empire, 2-man smoke up. See if they can't find somebody. It's going to be How and Fenrir. They get the call, and they're going to be able to lock down at least Fenrir. How is going to try and get out with the magic immunity, but if he's hit by this ultimate, glimpse back. They don't even pop the ultimate from Talon. He already blew his. They are going to be able to get a little bit of space. Doesn't look like Empire. They can. Oh, nice and fast. How managed to dodge that one beautifully. Yoki is now on the way out, but the snowball is going to slow him down. The punch to the face knocks him out, but How will die to Silent. Silent overextending himself deep underneath the tower. FY Static Storm will keep him from being able to use any sort of spells there. Ice locked in the corner up against Silent. Another Rocket Barrage should be enough to finish him off. Oh, no, he couldn't get it. Rocket Barrage gets the kill, but Super will make sure that finally that Aegis is burnt. But is it going to cost him a lot? They don't have any lockdown versus Super. He's got plenty of mana. Looks like he should get out. More TPs in. Fenrir, maybe this wasn't your play, my friend. Silent puts himself right next to the trees where the Rocket Barrage takes him out. Triple kill for Resolution, 15-26, and it's looking like, Blitz, that Empire are going to take this first game off, especially if they could get the carry again. How gets glimpsed back, but he's still got that rage to fall back on.
Yeah, and How actually pops his buyback as well, assuming that the rest of his fight is going to go on. I know, like, what Fenrir right there did look really clowny because he went in, but he expected everybody else to come in. This might be too aggressive by Vici.
Yeah, How trying to man up against Silent, but he's got way too many stats, and if you slow down any further, the boar is keeping him in check. Fortunately, though, they do actually get a nice Icicle Shards. Once again, he pulls in Super, but Oh, that Glimmer Cape, such a pesky item. Very nicely played by Aloha Dance, saving his ally and TPing away to save himself.
Yeah, now Hao's buyback doesn't pay off at all, and he's getting progressively further behind in farm. And again, this Storm Spirit, now he's trying to transition into the Bloodstone. I think this is the correct choice, considering the pace of the game. You just need to get into a farm battle, right? Like, even if Orchid would have been better 8 minutes ago, you can't really worry about that kind of stuff. Like, you have to just go for the Bloodstone. Get it as quick as you can.
The disruption gonna buy. Always want to fly some time, but this is a sacrifice. If he can actually set up a lot for Silent. No, Silent says, nope, I'm out. There are too many members of VG Gaming unless I get some help. And they do manage to lock down Silent. Resolution helps get that kill. The Black Hole going on to Silent, but he's already got Ice, and they're simply not enough damage. Ice. He's actually goes down. Silent is gonna almost fall. The Finger of Death, not quite enough to finish him off. The Enigma will go down. Fenrir also to fall. Man. VG Gaming just cleaned up one after another. Fenrir gets a little bit of space, but it seems like eventually one of these abilities is going to hit him. It's going to be the Glimpse. 4 down, and only Hao alive. There's no way he defends a tier 2 by himself, and Empire could even think about potentially poking uphill a little bit.
And how many games have you seen where Vici actually get overrun like this? Like, typically, they're the ones that are the aggressors that do a lot, but it just feels like there's not a whole lot that can be done right now to stop this. And
poor Aloha Dance. Never mind. Again,
poor Aloha Dance.
Yeah, poor Aloha Dance. He's actually going to be able to get the kill onto Hao with the Glimpse back, and the hold in. Hao falls. He tried to just clear out some of those creeps infested inside the Necronomicon, clear through the wave, maybe get a pick off on the support, but it cost him dearly. Another death there. The blink forward, going to be able to catch Ice. He gets the Walrus Punch onto Yoki, and they do snowball to the side, trying to get away, but held in by the kinetic field. Aloha Dance and Always Want to Fly. The two supports are just playing superb here in this game number 1 against Vici Gaming.
Yeah, and Empire, is this going to be the first game that Vici actually losing this patch? It's starting to look like it right
Super.
now.
Yeah, they managed to get the call. Super's going to go down again. They have still the Roar from Resolution to lock down another hero. That's going to be a free kill on the Fenrir, and Empire just swarming the enemy base now as FY has nowhere to run to, nowhere to hide. 5 down, and Vici Gaming call it GG by 21 and a half minutes in. An insane performance by Team Empire.
What else do you use for this? Like, Dominant. Look how excited they are to take one game off of Vici Gaming. Like, I didn't see these guys this happy when they won MLG, but they're going insane. Like, look at that. They're just like, the hands are up and they're like, oh my god, we did it. And it's not even just the fact that they beat them, it's the fashion that they beat them in. Like, I'm excited for them. They just completely wrecked what I would say is the best team in the world. Like, the game actually didn't even look close at all.
Yeah, I mean, this whole entire tournament has been kind of the storyline of, oh, Vici Gaming, they're the team to beat, In the very first game they play against Empire, they get just dominated.
And you know, it feels a bit like a deja vu, because obviously during MLG everyone was like, well, easy game for EG, right? Like, no team is gonna take any games off them. But the guys from Empire won the whole tournament, and now they're taking that first game off VG, and I'm really impressed, and I'm really excited, and I'm really happy with how this game went. So let's give us some thoughts. What were your thoughts in general on the picks we saw out of both of those teams?
I think Blitz nailed it with controlled aggression, from both sides, but the draft overall from Empire was a really nice mix of defensive and aggressive. They had Shadow Demon, who could play defensively, disrupt people, especially when they got hit by Black Hole. We saw Silent get disrupted then. And then they had the Disruptor to glimpse people back when Ice was snowballing in, the Storm Spirit, then to, before he ball Lightnings, to bring him back into fights. They just had these multifaceted heroes that weren't locked down into one playstyle, whereas VG were incredibly greedy. Enigma in the jungle, Lifestealer needs a lot of farm to get up and running. Lion, you mentioned it in the draft as well, needs that one core item, the Blink Dagger, while mid lane, Super, needs to farm.
Yeah, it just kind of felt like the lanes were a lot better for Empire. I'm like struggling to say anything right now because I'm still a little bit hyped. But when you play against a team like Vici, I think that you have to beat them in the laning phase. That's where almost all teams are the most susceptible, right? Like in the mid game and the late game, anything can happen, and things like experience and individual skill will shine out the most. But good drafting that leads to good laning, I feel, is the strongest way to beat a team like Vici Gaming, and we saw that. The bottom lane, I called it right. I was like, the Lion and a Lifestealer, what are they actually going to do against a greedy offlaner? So they pick the Axe, and it's not just the Axe, it's the Shadow Demon that rotates in. And I really want to highlight something as well, because both supports on Empire kind of get criticized for not playing within each other, and this game they kind of didn't do it as well, but it just feels like they're individually doing so much.
Yeah.
Like they feel comfortable playing apart from each other. They're not like really a support duo that works in tandem. Like one guy goes to do another thing, Aloha Dance kind of just stacks, and pressures and, always want to fly that game. He was roaming around the map non-stop, creating pressure on the map. And that's typically the way that we see Vici Gaming supports play. But they were never able to get that start.
Orb of Venom on Axe. Did you
I
guys...
was about to mention, what was that?
I mean, I like it, right?
Yeah.
It's a lane. It's an item specifically meant for doing well in the lane. And when you're able to get that 12% slow on the Lifestealer, it makes a big difference. But I actually want to go back. I want to talk about Team Empire. You're talking about those two supports, and I completely agree. They're two supports that don't operate in tandem a whole lot. What I loved about this game was the fact that usually it's always want to fly, right? Ancient Apparition by far, I think, is one of those most iconic heroes, and that's a hero that sits back, farms, gets the Aghanims upgrade, and then you actually are factoring the team fights. While Aloha Dance, like say Earthshaker, I think is probably one of the most iconic heroes in my mind, where he roams around and is able to provide so much space. Hero is the exact opposite. Here, Always Wanna Fly was the one who was active and moving around and creating space, and I think that goes to show that this support duo is probably quite underrated. I don't think anybody is thinking about in the West like, oh, Aloha Dance and Always Wanna Fly. Like, nobody's saying that, but clearly the talent is there that they were able to kind of switch up the complete playstyle of what you normally see out of Team Empire, the exact opposite.
So looking at both of those drafts and the picks they came out of it, do you feel like either of those teams have been able to intercept the intention behind what the guys picked in the end?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I think when I was commenting on the draft, it was like Vici would pick a hero, and then Empire, after their first two setup picks, they were like, okay, we're just going to counter whatever you take. So you take the Storm, we'll take the Disruptor. You take the Lifestealer, we'll take the Shadow Demon. And if you can counter two cores using just two supports like that, and those two supports aren't even that bad, then you're pretty much set.
I think that also both NIP as well as Empire anticipate that Vici Gaming are very much like to run junglers, and that's why you saw NIP ban away the Enigma, and they picked up the Enchantress. Here, this game, they were completely prepared for a jungler.
All right. Well, Empire managed to come 1-0 in this very first series of the winner bracket. Not first series, first game of this series in the winner bracket final. We will see if Vici will come back or if Empire actually is going to manage to sit out and wait in the grand final with that one game advantage in the best of 5, which will be played tomorrow. But all that and more will happen right after a quick commercial break. So stay tuned and we should be right back.